Today we're going to show you how to create macro flower photography for your mom for Mother's Day. Hey everyone, Sean here with Fotodiox.com. Now, Mother's Day is fast approaching and you may not be able to be with your mother this year due to the virus and the lockdown, but that doesn't mean you can't send her flowers. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't send her real flowers. You can always order some and have them sent to her door. But another fun and creative way you can show appreciation to your mother is to create beautiful macro photography of flowers and send them to her digitally. So today I'm going to show you some simple steps to capturing beautiful macro photography, and it all starts with this. This is a macro extension tube. This is a Sony E-mount macro extension tube that we sell here at Fotodiox. And basically all you're gonna do is put this between your lens and camera to make your lens focus closer up than it normally focuses. You know, most lenses focus to a few feet, but by putting this tube between your lens and camera, suddenly you can focus to a few inches or even closer. So the lens I'm gonna be using today is my Lensbaby Burnside 35. This is a 35mm f2.8 lens. This is a manual only lens, which means you have to control the aperture and focus manually, which means we can use just our basic manual macro extension tube. It has no electronic controls, it's just a metal tube. We also make automatic macro extension tubes that have communication pins so you can have that electronic control. We won't need that today, but that's an option. All right, let's mount the lens on the macro extension tube and mount it on our camera. Now, the first thing you need to know is when you get our macro extension tubes, you get the full body of it. You get this really, really long stack of macro tubes. Now you could use these all together, but that means you're only gonna be able to focus on things like directly on the lens. This is way too much macro extension tube for most situations. Luckily, you can unscrew the different parts of this tube and reconfigure them to be different lengths. So you can see we've got a 28mm tube here, we've got a 14mm here, and that just refers to how long the tube is. You can see I'm shooting this little vintage camera pin, and as I add more macro extension tube, as it gets longer, I have to get the camera closer and it focuses closer up. But we're not even gonna need 28 or 14. We're going to stick with 7mm. For what we're doing, this is more than enough for macro flower photography. So you've got the camera mount on the back. All we have to do is add the lens mount on the front, screw it together, and our macro extension tube is ready. Now we're just gonna mount our lens on the macro extension tube. So you're gonna line up the red dot on the lens with the red dot on the adapter. And we're just going to mount it on our camera. There we go. Now that we have extra space between the lens and camera, we've turned this standard lens into a macro focus only lens. And now we can focus really close up on flowers. Let's take it out and shoot some flower photography. It's spring here in Illinois, but spring comes pretty slowly. So there aren't a lot of flowers out. I got some flowers on bushes, a couple wildflowers that have come up out in the woods. I love these little flowers. They're very strange looking. Love the modeling on the leaves. Here's some yellow prairie flowers. Here's a dandelion. You know, it's a pretty basic flower. They're kind of annoying, but when you get close up on it, you actually can see some pretty beautiful detail. Some of these flowers were pretty high up in trees, so I had to focus with my screen because I had to hold the camera over my head. And I shot a bunch of photos and kind of moved the camera in and out, hoping that I would nail focus. And I also captured a couple buds that hadn't fully bloomed yet, but they are kind of pretty, you know, just the bud against the blue sky. It's a beautiful image. Now, I was lucky to have a beautiful sunny day, so I didn't have to use any external flashes or lights to light my flowers. Most pro macro photographers will bring flashes to add extra light to their subject, but I'm just shooting a really simple approach here, just using available light. And one of the things you'll notice is when you go macro, your depth of field gets way more shallow. So you're not gonna wanna shoot wide open at like f2.8 because you're really only gonna have a very, very thin blade of focus. So I actually stopped down most of these photos to f8. There's still a lot of shallow depth of field, but it's not as bad. I could have gone to f16 with this lens, and maybe I should have, but I kind of like a little bit of shallow depth of field in my photos. I like some of that bokeh in there. Now you can get way more complex with macro photography. You can add flashes, you can add reflectors and cards to block light. But just getting into basic macro photography is a really gratifying experience. It's really fun to be able to get close up on everyday things all around you that you never really noticed had such beautiful detail. Okay, you've captured all these beautiful flower photos. Now it's time to send them to your mom. Now you could just attach them all in an email and send them her way, create a Facebook album and share it with her, or you could bring them into Photoshop and kind of create a beautiful collage with a happy Mother's Day greeting. Now, like I said before, this shouldn't replace sending your mom real flowers or a real gift, but it is a fun, creative thing to do, and I guarantee your mom will appreciate it. It's kind of like when you're a little kid and you went and gathered a bunch of flowers in a bouquet and gave it to your mom. She'll know that you put in the work and she'll really appreciate it. And photography can be a beautiful gift. Okay, that's a quick look at shooting macro photography with our Fotodiox macro extension tubes. If you'd like to learn more about our macro extension tubes, click the link in the description below. And click right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos just like this one. I'm Sean with Fotodiox.com, and happy Mother's Day.